Star Wars Battlefront is one of the most anticipated games of 2015, but not everything is great about the game. In this video, we take a look at 5 things wrong with Star Wars Battlefront. Number 5, no space combat. This isn't bothering many people, but the fact Star Wars Battlefront has 0 space combat is kind of sad. That was one of the best things in the older Star Wars Battlefront games. EA's response to people's concerns was that we want players to stay in the same environment. We don't want players to fly off and do something over there. Regardless, space combat is a big part of Star Wars, and the fact that it will not be present at all is a bit of a disappointment. Number 4, no single player campaign. Now I know, these days many gamers are looking for the multiplayer component from their games and that's it. But considering there are many games that offer both a multiplayer and at least a decent single player component, it's disappointing to know that Star Wars Battlefront will have no single player campaign at all. Even if multiplayer is what the majority of gamers are going to play, it's still content that is being stripped out of the game. EA's response to people's complaints about the lack of campaign was very few people actually play the single player on these kinds of games. That's what the data points to. Well, it still sucks that it's not in the game, but what can you do? Number 3, no voice chat. This is just a weird one. Star Wars Battlefront is a big budget game, so why is one of the most fundamental elements of a multiplayer game being left out? Now on consoles there will be a built-in party system, but on PC you will have to use third-party software if you want any type of voice communication. Now it's probably not the biggest deal to many, but why in a game like this is one of the most basic parts of a multiplayer experience being left off? It just seems odd, but maybe there was some sort of technical issue, which in all honesty still isn't really an excuse. Number 2, only the classic era is playable. In Star Wars Battlefront 2, the playable eras included classic and prequel, but in Star Wars Battlefront, only classic will be represented. This is again just disappointing, as this is content that you would expect to be in the game but isn't present. Many people look very fondly at the prequel era, and the fact that it's not showcased in the game at all is very disappointing. Finally, number 1, DLC, DLC, DLC. Now typically, I don't have a huge issue with there being DLC, but with Star Wars Battlefront, there is so much content cut out of the game compared to a typical game, that makes you question, why is there so much DLC? We don't have space combat, no single player, no prequel era, and now we have to pay for DLC for extra maps too? It all just seems like it's nickel and diming the consumer. So that wraps up our countdown for 5 things wrong with Star Wars Battlefront. Do you agree with our complaints? Do you think we're off base? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.